Hi guys, and welcome back to another DrAce video, and today we're going to be playing MotoGP 22, and today it's part 2 of my MotoGP Academy Track Breakdown series, and we're doing the fantastic circuit of Indonesia. It's the Mandalika Grand Prix. The Mandalika, I pronounce that a little bit odd sometimes, but we're going to be doing each particular sector using the MotoGP Academy, part of MotoGP 22, so if you want to learn a bit more, stick around and I'll definitely show you the ropes of this Mandalika Grand Prix. But going into the first corner, braking at the end of the pit lane there, see it on the left hand side of your screen, that end of that barrier, bringing in nice and controlled, going into the right hand side into turn 1. Went a little bit too tight to the apex, but don't worry about that. Hard on the brakes for a right hander for turn 2, keep it a little bit wide and then tuck it in for turn 3, and then don't hesitate on hitting a bit of front brake there, just to use as a trail brake, just to slow the motorcycle down and to reduce the sort of understeer you can get going into those corners. So same thing again as the rumble strip starts, as that pit lane ends, start braking into the first corner. Go wide or go tighter. As you can see, I've gone for both options and you can see both work out very well. Turn 2, run it wide, run it into the middle of the circuit then for turn 3, and then keep it to the left hand side for turn 4. Bring on the power, but keep the bike to the left hand side because I want you to get used to that for the next sector. But for now, back to turn 1 because of course innocuous corner, very difficult. Brake at the end of pit lane as the rumble strip starts. Go to the middle, wide, tighter line, entirely up to you, showing you how it works here. And then on the brakes for this particular part, I did find that as you bring on the acceleration and start getting ready to change gear going into the right-hander, I did find that that was the best spot to start braking. Now one thing I will say, as I mentioned already, is to keep wide here for sector 2, because if you keep wide, you can bring the Ducati into the right-hand side and position the motorcycle where you need to be for turn 4 onwards. And now going into turn 7, a little bit of brake there just to chuck the motorcycle into the left hand side, ride height device enabled, and begin to power it down towards the next corner. Of course, make sure to brake there, but we'll get to that in a second. But to the left hand side, position the bike over and then hold it in as tight as you like, hold it in as tight as you can. Turn 6, turn 7, don't be worried about going wider there to then chuck it to the left hand side for turn 7 and turn 8. You've got to be very confident and you need to be moving the bike early rather than later, so definitely position the motorcycle in the right spot. That is the most important part from sector 2. And going into here a little bit wide into turn 5, keep it nice and tight for turn 6, run it deep here onto the rumble strip for turn 7 onwards, and then position the motorcycle in 7, and then chuck it over to the left hand side for turn 8. Very difficult sector track, which I would expect you to get used to, but it's very fast and flowing, so stay with the lines of the track. Now of course sector 3 is not as bad, it's just that first braking zone, which we'll get to in just a moment now. But for going into turn 11, bring on the power, brake nice and early here so you can go for the tighter apex. I didn't go for it here, and you can see the different angle makes it really difficult then to get into turn 12. So how I've done it on this first one will be enough to get the gold, but I would advise you more focus on the next one. So braking in here now, very difficult part to get right here. There's a little difference on the left hand side of your screen as you approach this particular corner. That is a good indication of when to start braking. It's like a little bit of a break up in the particular part of the track or the outside of the track. But you will see now for the second attempt here in sector 3 and then the third attempt, which is about to come up briefly, the difference in turn 10 and 11 is much better. So braking nice and calm into turn 10, keeping it nice and tight to the apex, slowly bringing on the power going onto the rumble strip, beginning to brake nice and early here. Don't worry about the ghost because going tighter to the apex makes it easier to then position the Ducati going into turn 12, where we can bring on the ride height device and get away from the ghost without any issue. So now onto the left hand side. Once the ride height device is disabled, move it over to the left hand side for turn 13, keep it nice and tight to the apex for 13, move it over to the right hand side for 14, and now very calmly and gently we're going to bring on the brakes. Pay attention to the bottom right hand corner of your screen. Not much brake is being applied. Quite a bit of rear brake, tapping it just to try and slow the motorcycle down, but at no point is that front brake slammed on at any single point within these corners, because these corners are very difficult and you must trail brake. If you're not familiar with trail braking, that's gently bringing on the brakes whilst in mid-corner. So to the left hand side now for turn 13, nice and tight to the apex, a little bit too tight going on the rumble strip, but don't worry about that. Keep it over to the right hand side for turn 14 and slowly begin to brake. You are full lean angle here, but we are slowly and gradually controlled braking into the right hander for turn 16. I cannot stress to you how gentle you need to be on the brakes there. It is very difficult and also with the analog stick control I'm sort of pushing backwards, but also in a 5 o'clock position we are pushing the analog stick right to its right diagonal to stop it from also gaining any more additional speed and also not braking too much on the right hand side and losing the front. So once again into the final couple of sector corners. As the rumble strip begins to end there on the left hand side, bringing on the brakes, slowly and calmly bringing it on, just trail braking into turn 16 until we get to the apex, then we can slowly bring on the power. Braking nice and early for turn 17 for probably the easiest part of Mandalika, as we now bring on the ride height device, and across the line we've tackled another particular lap. But now it's time to piece it all together. This is my favourite part of this one, so stick around. We're going to be braking here and at the end of pit lane, as mentioned earlier, running it into a nice tight apex for turn 1. As we bring on the power, we're going to get really close to the rev limiter and almost up to 3rd gear, but that is when I'm going to start braking. When you get into that rhythm and you get turn 1 right, you'll notice how simple it is to get that corner right with paying attention to your gearing. But to the right hand side now for turn 5, this is why I mentioned earlier that I do run it a little bit wide there. Run it into turn 6, run wide again, going into turn 7, you've got a lot of lean angle, so you can then position the motorcycle over and flick it back over in quite controlled, but also a little bit aggressively on the acceleration, just to try and chuck the bike over to the next corner. But now braking in to turn 10, really tights the apex there as tight as we could possibly go without touching it, as we then bring on the power, brake nice and early, so we go once again super tight to the apex. White line can be a little bit treacherous there, but go roughly where I'm going to be here and there, and you should be absolutely fine. Ride height device enabled, just going on the entry, going into turn 13, keeping it nice and tight to the apex. Chuck it over to the right hand side, again moving the bike early before you get to the corner rather than moving in the corner. Nice and early, controlled movements. Now if you're looking for more information regarding cornering, stick around because I have a cornering guide coming up very soon. But we're going to be braking into Mandalika for the penultimate time because I do want to do one more lap here with Luca Marini here in the Mandalika Grand Prix, just to try and give you guys a better understanding of how to tackle this flat circuit. So now bringing on the power then, braking at the end of the rumble strip, or the start of the rumble strip and end of pit lane should I say, and now going nice and tight to the apex of turn 1. A little bit of a moment there, but again bringing the power on almost up to 3rd gear, and then we're going to start braking in, keeping it nice and tight to the apex for turn 3, once again nice and tight for turn 4, swing it wide to the left so you've got that wonderful sweeping line for the turn 5 and onwards, further ahead in the Ghost, but I'm not really interested in the Ghost right now. Turn 6, middle of the circuit here, so I'm going to show you a different alternative line. I don't really like this one as much. Feels like it's much slower, and you can also see it's visibly slower. So keep over to the left hand side, I implore you, on that particular part. Get close to the rumble strip here and you'll get a good feeling for this particular corner for turn 10. It is a very difficult corner to get right, but the only bit of advice I can give you, as I mentioned earlier, is there is a small difference in the track on the left hand side before you get to turn 10, which is a good indication of when to start braking. We'll bring on the ride out device now as we go into the left hand side for turn 13. Nice and tight to the apex. You can see my Ghost ahead. We're not exactly pushing that particular hard. We're only trying to get a lap time that is good enough to pass the MotoGP Academy, and of course braking rather firm but controlled and gently at the same time. I know it sounds odd, but trust me, braking calmly into the particular part there is absolutely crucial for a good lap time and staying on board the motorcycle. But we now bring on the power for the last time here in this fantastic circuit of Mandalika, and that is it from me. So guys, I really hope this video has helped you. If you enjoyed it, let me know in the comments section down below. If you need any more assistance, also contact me in the Discord server, my Instagram, or even in the comments section down below. But thank you very much for watching guys, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe. Ciao for now.
Oh hi, didn't quite see you there. Good to see you're still here. If this video didn't quite sate your appetite, then why not watch some more DrAce content by clicking the video shown on screen now. Furthermore, if you would like to follow me on social media, you can do so now with the links down in the description. Consider subscribing so you don't miss a single DrAce video.